Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill. Coach, we start this week's show on a little bit of a different note. We get the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with the guy that is as Louisiana, as gumbo, as etouffee, as jambalaya. He is probably one of the biggest promoters in all of Louisiana, of the great state of Louisiana. By now, I'm sure our audience at home knows that we're talking about none other than our illustrious Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Lieutenant Governor, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, my friend. How y'all doing today?
Doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. Let's start with the fact, Lieutenant Governor, that last year, through the efforts of your offices and a lot of great people, we had a record-breaking year for tourism in our state. That's a huge benefit for both large and small cities alike, correct?
Yeah, we had 51.3 million people visit little old Louisiana.
Wow.
And they spent $18.8 billion that resulted in $1.9 billion in state and local taxes left behind. That's a little over $1,000 per family in Louisiana. That was the largest increase, 9% from the previous year, the longest increase we've ever had since we've been tracking tourism numbers.
Recently, it was announced that LSU and Southern, on another note, are moments away from finalizing an historic event. Southern and LSU playing in Tiger Stadium. You are a huge proponent of staycations, people staying home for their vacation. This could be absolutely huge for our state and for the city of Baton Rouge, the capital city, correct?
Absolutely, and that's going to be a great opportunity. Every year the Bayou Classic is such a big draw for Grambling and Southern. We're a supporter and a sponsor of that event. We now have the Louisiana Feed Your Soul, a logo in the end zone at Tiger Stadium. We'll be out there tailgating this weekend for the Florida game, serving some Florida alligator. But anytime we can get two Louisiana teams to play, it's a great boost for the local economy, and it brings people together from all over the state.
There's also a great idea, and I got to tip my hat to you on this one. You have been working in conjunction with others on the Civil Rights Trail, something that can bring a lot of notoriety to our state, and something that, quite frankly, is long overdue. Tell us a little bit about that, and what was the impetus, the genesis for this?
Well, a little over 2 years ago, I was at a tourism summit in Arizona, and Alabama was talking about the Civil Rights Trail and how they joined with Mississippi and all the great things they were doing. And so when the gentleman came off the stage and he said, well, the first thing you need to do is join up with us. And we did. We joined at that conference, paid our share to join the trail, and then we came home and taking the lead from some of the things they did. We started on 17 around the state to gather information, and now we're learning there's even more than we even thought. We're just tipping the iceberg of getting the stories, those historical places, those heroes, some of those painful things that happened. And it's not just that it's going to be a tourist attraction, but we want this to be an educational tool, much like we did a Uniquely Louisiana about historical places in the state. We got the Betsy board allow us to put it in the schools. We hope to create a similar program that will tell people the civil rights story of Louisiana. And we're even offering to go out to some of the elderly people's homes and video, document those stories, because we're finding they can't get out to the meetings. So we've got a lot of work to do, but I'm excited how this is not only going to tell a painful story, but one that needs to be told, but it's also going to help us join the other 14 southern states in the Civil Rights Trail, which is going to be a huge draw for tourists to take that trail.
Finally, Lieutenant Governor, people listening and watching this right now may look at the extraordinary efforts on your behalf and, of course, those in your office on behalf of the citizenry for our state and may think, well, we've got this tourism thing covered. There's not really a whole lot that I need to do. What can we as individual citizens do to support the efforts of your office, the hardworking people there, and maximize what is obviously a huge industry in our beloved Louisiana?
Well, I ask everyone in Louisiana to take one vacation you'd normally leave Louisiana. Go see a city or town you haven't been to. I promise you won't be disappointed. You'll meet some incredible people, and you'll talk about it and share it with friends. I took my staycation in Natchitoches. My mother-in-law spent 3 hours in that hardware store. 100 years old. They got every game from a kid. Went home and shared it on social media. 20 of her relatives and friends from Houston, Texas, have now gone to Natchitoches. So it works. It helps push people all over Louisiana to every town and city, and really helps those small towns that need help.
Now you know why we love this guy so much. He is as Louisiana as gumbo itself. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, thank you so much for the time. And more important, my friend, thank you for your efforts on behalf of our great state. We love you for that.
Thank you. And, Coach, thank you for your years of service and all you've done for Louisiana. God bless y'all and have a great day.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor.
Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. When we come back, we'll shift gears, talk a little more sports on this edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Break out of the chaos.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Welcome back for segment 2 of this week's edition of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Coach, let's talk a little LSU football. Tigers, once again, beat a team that they were supposed to beat. But once again, a little sluggish start kind of plagued the team. How much did that 11 o'clock kickoff have to do with that?
Well, you know, that's a game time that they normally don't play at.
Right.
So you want to give them, say, maybe, you know, they had everything changed. Mm-hmm. That bedtime, that breakfast didn't change, but everything else between breakfast and the game changed.
Right.
Because now they had to really speed things up. Mm-hmm. So you want to give them some leeway and say the early start did affect them a little.
Well, we have highlights from that encounter in Death Valley, so we will roll the highlights from that contest as we continue our conversation. Sloppy penalties, Coach, were a problem again. Something that SEC caliber teams will hurt you with if you don't clean that up.
Oh yeah, you don't. Penalty will cause you to lose games.
Yeah.
And penalties and mistakes and penalty is a mistake. So those are the two things that coaches always caution the players about.
The defense, however, played lights out after giving up a lot more yards and a lot more points than we're used to seeing.
I had a dream.
Uh-oh.
I had a dream, and I'm glad the dream is not true, that they ran the defensive coordinator out of town.
Oh, God, no.
I'm glad
Bite
it's
your
not
tongue.
true. I really am so glad it's not true. But this is what, but no, he's doing a good job. And, you know, they have some injuries, and
Right.
they have some young players, and it takes time. We all want things to work too fast, you know?
Yeah.
But those wide receivers are really good.
Oh, man, and you look at the fact that it's not just one or two. Joe Burrow has the option of spreading the ball around, which of course spreads the field out and allows him to run as well. That's something you cannot put a premium on.
Yeah, you can't put a premium on that. And then, you know, the one thing LSU has to have improvement in the running game.
Definitely.
I know we've said we hadn't talked much about the offensive line. They've done a good job of protecting Boros. Now they got open holes up for the running backs.
Tackling in space, back talking about the defense, had been a concern, but it looked, at least in this game, like the coaching staff went back to the basics, the fundamentals, and it paid big-time dividends.
Well, they had a week off, Clarence. With a week off, you could really, there are a lot of things you can get young people concentrating back on, you know?
Yeah.
You need to do this a little better. So I think that helped a great deal.
Of course, now the Florida Gators are going to roll into Death Valley this weekend, and even though the Tigers have done what they've done so far, it still feels a little bit like they're going to have to prove themselves. Or is that just the case every week when you're in a conference as powerful as the SEC?
If you want to be one of the elite teams, you have to prove yourself on a weekly basis. So it's not different. They got to improve. They've got to show some marked improvement to beat Florida, and they have to keep improving as they go down the road.
This is one of those games that Florida is one of those teams that over the years a rivalry has developed. And of course, when you're talking about rivalry games like this, it has the tendency to bring out the best, or the pressure, as they say, will bust the pipe. Are we up for the challenge, Coach?
Well, Mullen is a coach that have given LSU all sorts of problems.
Oh, yeah.
When he was at Mississippi State,
Right.
He beat them. He caused problems for them. I expect some of the same thing this weekend. They're going to have to play mistake-free ball, and they're going to have to make some big plays on the defensive end of the ball.
Well, it's a good thing that we're recording this show at this part of the week. I don't have to ask you if you had any dreams. I had a dream in that particular instance. When we come back, we'll talk more sports on the Roger Cador Show.
I had
Stay
a
close.
dream.
Break out of the chaos.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Mandeville at 985-722-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Mandeville at 985-722-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Welcome back for this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Let's talk a little bit of Southern Jaguar football. It was a week off for the Jaguars and probably came at the opportune time. You get one conference win under your belt, and now you get ready for another conference for the grind in the conference. Prairie View up next.
And Prairie View is one of the best teams in the SWAC.
Yeah.
So you probably caught the week off at the right time. So not only can you heal, but you can really brushing up on some of the things you haven't been doing well.
We've got a little bit of a highlight reel from some accomplishments of the Jaguars offense throughout the course of the season. So as we continue our conversation, we'll let the guys in the truck roll those highlights and continue to talk a little bit more about Southern. I saw where it was highly publicized in post-game interviews after Prairie View beat Grambling. One of the stars of that game was boasting about the win, and then he said the magic word, Southern, y'all are next.
Ooh.
Did you ever worry about bulletin board material when you were coaching, Coach?
Well, I always caution my players about never saying anything about their opponent. You know, just beat them.
Right.
Go play your best and not try to infuriate them, but don't give them any reason.
Yeah.
You know, let's just go play the game. But you got kids today, they don't care. They'll say anything.
And that was going to be the next question. Typically, us old school people, we operate under the philosophy, let your game speak for itself. But it's a different day now. And you got to wonder, is this a thing of society in general? I mean, with social media and the like, the 24-hour news cycle, it seems like everybody takes every opportunity to grab their 15 minutes of fame. Is this what we're seeing with this young man's comments?
15 minutes, 15 seconds. That's all that is. That's
Right.
what kids, I mean, that's all they want, the 15-second of fame. And they don't care about the team. It's all about them.
Right.
And that's the society we live in. Coaches probably warn them, don't say anything.
Right.
Just play, keep your mouth shut. Not that kid.
Yeah. Coach Dawson Odoms, considering with what he has dealt with over the years, with some problems that he inherited down the line, you got to tip your hat to the guy for the job that he's been able to do up at Southern University.
I tell people that all the time, especially people who are Southern inclined with football, love football, what kind of job Coach Odom have done. In particular, he took the team out of the sanction,
Right.
lack of scholarships, couldn't have spring practice.
Mm-hmm.
He did so many things and he kept making kids have good grades, graduating rate is up.
Right.
All of those things means a lot in a difficult situation.
And of course, you've got to add to that the fact that through the generous efforts of the business community, we now have turf at Mumford Stadium. We also have what is the still relatively new football facility in the end zone. All of those things help make us competitive with the Jackson States, the Gramblings, and the Prairie Views of the world.
Well, we want to say not all business. Coca-Cola was
Right.
the business that made the turf
That made
happen.
it happen,
And we
yeah.
need to make sure Coca-Cola get the credit for it. And I tell you, it's Southern now. There are some things they still need to improve on, but they have the playing surface. They probably need a little bigger weight room. I think we underbuild when we build.
Right.
And if, you know, you got to have a little more things you got to keep adding
Right.
in order to get the recruiting.
It has been a long journey, and of course, this is one of those things that never really ends. It's like the arms race in the world of politics. Everyone's trying to outbuild the competition. Everyone wants bigger and better. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, if you want that, it's you and I, the fan base, that has to support the school to make that happen, right?
That's right, unless you're at Prairie View where Texas A&M built a $65 million facility for them.
Wow.
I mean, that was, you see, they're in a whole different situation in Texas. Texas A&M have the money,
Oh, yeah.
and they understand that Prairie View is an integral part of their system.
Right.
So they'll put in the money in there because Prairie View is strategically located in the right spot. 45 minutes outside of Houston, 45 minutes from Texas A&M. It's never going to get any better.
And their endowment is second to none. By the way, Texas A&M, if you're listening, we could use a few of those dollars up here as well. When we come back, we'll talk more on the Roger Cador Show. Stay with us.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Welcome back to the Roger Cador Show. Got to talk some black and gold now since we're talking football. New Orleans Saints, Coach, it was as if the spirit of former Saints defensive end Will Smith was in the dome, being honored posthumously, added into the Ring of Honor. The defense, it's as though his spirit was watching over them as they took on Tampa Bay.
I tell you, they really played well. Again, the defense is giving the offense a chance. You know, if the offense is not scoring touchdowns, the defense is not giving up touchdowns.
Right.
So it allows the offense to catch up to itself and build the confidence. And I tell you, Sean Payton has done a wonderful job with my cousin Teddy Bridgewater by giving him a simple game plan that he can execute.
Yep. Well, we have highlights from the black and gold divisional encounter, conference encounter, if you will, taking on the Buccaneers of Tampa Bay. So we'll let the guys in the truck roll those highlights as we continue our conversation talking about the Saints as they continue on this marvelous run. Coach, it goes to show you just how quickly things can change. Tampa Bay, just a week before, routed the Rams, putting up 55 points against the Rams. But the Saints defense held them to just 204 passing yards. Things can change quickly at this level of professional sports, can't it?
Well, I try to tell people all the time, when you're dealing with professional sports, all teams are capable of beating you.
Yeah.
You know, because those guys are professional. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers haven't proven that they're consistent enough to do what they did against Los Angeles week in and week out. That's when you become a good team, when you can be more consistent.
You mentioned, as we were talking about LSU, that we've got to polish up the running game. If we applied that to the Saints, the defense still needs to tighten up on stopping the run if we have hopes of going the distance this year, right?
Oh, right, yeah, I say. Now, the Saints, without Kamara, that's why they lost the running back Mark Ingram, because that power run up the middle, they lost him. So they've got to find a way to keep running the ball some to keep the defense off the field and give the quarterback more passing option by running the ball. Speaking
of the quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater did a whole lot more than just, quote, manage the game. The guy was 26 of 34, 314 yards and 4 TDs. That's not managing the game. That's excelling, Coach.
Well, that's what he needs to do. And that's why the Saints are 4-1.
Yes.
That's why they're 4-1. And every week they win. It gives Drew Brees that chance to come on back with the team in a really good situation. And he ought to be able to take him down the road.
And you brought up something on last week's show that I had not thought about. This is going to be a much refreshed Drew Brees. I mean, the legs probably have a little extra sprint in them because, after all, he's been able to relax at a point in the season where, at least arguably during the early part of this stretch that he's been out, that was some pretty stiff competition with Seattle and Dallas.
And not just his leg. When you're 41 years old, your arm, all of those passes, the arm, it gets tired. Now he's going to have a fresh arm. He can have a little more zip on the ball. I really feel good about when he gets back.
I don't want to look too far down the road, but what would it mean to the team's championship hopes if Teddy were able to guide this team to go undefeated in this 5 or 6 game stretch?
Now you're asking for too much. You wouldn't stop.
You want fries with that, 2 bugs?
You were doing good. Now you want to go a little, You know how hard it is to go undefeated?
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is they just need to play well. I don't know who they got next Who do they play next?
Up next is, I don't know, brain fart. You caught me on that one, Coach.
But my thing is you got to play them one at a time. Jacksonville, okay.
Jacksonville, yeah.
You have to play them one at a time and just try to keep the game simple.
Mm-hmm.
I think Peyton is not going to go anything different. He's going to keep simplicity because it works.
Yeah, and until it's broken, hey, don't try to fix it. When we come back, we will wrap up this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Oh, well, they're giving me this signal, and in this business, that means, hey, you got to stretch it because something happened in the truck. They're not ready for it. But Coach, while we have this extra time, how many people do you think thought we'd be 3-0 on this stretch without Drew Brees?
Not many, because remember, Teddy hadn't played in 2 years.
Right.
I mean, so how could someone say he would do what he's doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt good when they lost in L.A., they stayed on the West Coast, went to Seattle. I felt that Sean Payton could implement a game plan for him that would allow him to be successful.
Yeah.
And it did. You'll be surprised how wonderful it was just being away from New Orleans, which gave him that chance to really get themselves together. And look what has happened now. His confidence is growing with each game.
Well, speaking of confidence, let's shift gears in a couple of things. As everyone knows now, Major League Baseball in the postseason, regular season is over with, and we're starting to separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, if I could use a little scripture there. I'm a diehard Yankee, so everybody knows where my loyalties are lying. You got a favorite in the MLB chase?
Well, I would like to see the Braves do well simply because that's what I used to play with them.
Right.
And I love to see them do well, so we'll see.
Let's step back to the Jaguars for just a minute. How important would a win be against Prairie View this weekend for Southern's championship hopes?
Well, they have to win. Let's not. If you're going to win a championship, you have to win them.
Yeah.
You don't want to
keep your destiny within your own control, so to speak.
Yeah, keep your destiny in your own control. So let's say he's got to beat Prairie View. He's got to beat the next one. And then if you happen to lose, which can happen, you need help from somebody else, somewhere.
Mm-hmm. We talked earlier with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser about what is expected to be a historic encounter, LSU and Southern playing in Tiger Stadium in football. What could that mean for the attitudes in this city and the efforts at racial reconciliation in our city? The Bane's going to do it. It ain't the football game, it's the Bane's. Yeah. People are going to be wanting to, let's be realistic. We can't beat them in football. Right. But the Bane will give you all the hope you need. Yeah. And then people want to see the Bane. Yeah. And if nothing else, it would give two great fan bases from two great schools the opportunity to get together, tailgate together before, after the game, and realize, contrary to what some people may have us to believe, we've got a lot more in common than we do the things that separate us. I would agree. Yeah. So, keep in mind, somebody going to say, we lost the football game, but we won the band. It is something that more people are looking forward to. It has been a buzz on social media, and something, quite frankly, that yours truly, and I'm sure Coach would agree, we wished would have happened a long time ago. But as the old adage goes, sometimes better late than never. That's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. On behalf of the crew and the coach, I'm Clarence Buggs. We'll see you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show. We'll see you then.